Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network, Friday, April the 8th, Ian Cameron, and we've got some special guests joining me today. DJ Mitchell, we've seen him on the show with us before. He's back, ready to break down the Friday card. We have a new first-time special guest joining us from deep in the heart of Texas. Peyton Clark joining us here for the very first time on the Ice Guys show for a Friday. Peyton, we'll start with you since you're joining us for the first time. Just introduce the audience to who you are, your love for hockey, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been playing hockey like my entire life, just like everybody else has. Played for Arizona State, a little bit of college hockey, got into coaching afterwards for about 5 years with a company based out of Boston. Ironically enough, I'm wearing a Tampa Bay sweater, and they're playing them tonight. But anyways, yeah, played hockey my entire life. Love doing it, love coaching it, love the game, love breaking it down. That's why I'm on here. Went to nationals, not a big deal when I was 16 years old, so I'm surprised I didn't get drafted, but we can always get to that later.
It's a good background for sure. And like I say, in Arizona, from that hotbed of hockey, Arizona, hello, Tage Thompson, hello, Austin Matthews. All of a sudden, not just talent in the NHL from the state of Arizona, but top-tier talent. And that's definitely been something really good to see. We haven't seen our guy DJ Mitchell in a while, but we'll get him back on the show a little bit more regularly. Regular season winding down, playoffs as well. DJ, how are things with you?
They're good. Very, very busy. I mean, I'm working a 9 to 5, and I'm on. The other screen over here is on. So it's just tough to do stuff during the day, but I really wanted to jump on and try to do as much as I can. I've been sort of feel like wearing many hats, trying to jump on as many different things as possible while still doing Mayo Media Network. I'll be picking up more shows there. And the Morning Skate podcast, which has been around for a long time. Me and Matt breaking down every DFS main slate we can. Matt Moods, Fake Moods on DraftKings, real good DFS player. And I've had a couple wins this year, so I can't complain about my output on that end either.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I'm not just saying that to give DJ a little credit here, but his podcast, The Morning Skate's really good. Great info. They really dive into line combinations and guys going up and down the lineup. It comes to DFS and player props. That kind of stuff matters. You want to see those, take advantage of the prices that you get with guys getting a sudden increase in ice time. Before we get into Friday's card, we've got 5 games tonight. Just some thoughts on last night because it was a big slate. We saw the Rangers shut out the Penguins. Shesterkin giving the Penguin players the old wave after the game, like, see you later, fueling the fire, adding some gasoline, if you will, on the fire with that little maneuver. But he was great, obviously, although Crosby, a sudden late scratch, not a lot of people expected that last night, but the Rangers get a shutout win against the Penguins, continue to play good hockey. This was a team that advanced numbers-wise for a large part of the season. It hasn't been pretty. Their advanced numbers have really improved, the last several games, the Rangers, and they get a nice 3-0 win there. Philly beats Columbus 4-1. Nashville, much needed 2 points for them as they try to cement a wild card spot. They beat Ottawa 3-2. My best bet on the show last night, Montreal Canadiens plus 140 against New Jersey. I really couldn't believe the Devils were laying that big of a price with no Jack Hughes, with the defensive issues and the goaltending problems they have right now. And Montreal puts up a 7 spot. Cole Caulfield lights the lamp again, which he's been doing regularly lately for the Canadians there. Carolina comes back to beat Buffalo 5-3 after a bit of a slow start. Buffalo, of course, great effort still from the Sabres. Even when they lose these days, they're still playing pretty well. Seattle shuts out Chicago. I expected more from the Blackhawks on Marian Hossa night. They did not deliver there. Vancouver keeps their playoff hopes alive, even though they're slim. They're taking care of business right now. They beat Arizona 5-1. Calgary beat San Jose 4-2. Edmonton, another nice road win for them against the LA Kings 3-2. Pretty solid win to extend their lead over LA for second in the battle for second in that Pacific division. And, of course, Toronto, Dallas got to end there just because it was Austin Matthews breaking the Leafs single-season goal-scoring record, his 55th goal, and then his 56th goal as well, the overtime winner. You got to love how smart a hockey player he is to go with the immense talent and skill. He sees Tyler Seguin. He knows he's ripe for the picking. He knows defensively he can't hang with Austin Matthews. Takes it to the net, beats Scott Wedgwood for the overtime winner and gives the Leafs a 4-3 win there. Peyton, some thoughts on some of the hockey that you saw last night?
I mean, there was so many great matchups last night. I love the Preds right now. They're playing with so much grit. I mean, if you I have a twin brother, quick background, and he loves the Preds, and he was telling me last night. He goes, last season they only had 12 fights. This season they had over 50. So they've changed their style of play. They've been a hard team to play against. I was given the nickname like the bullies on Broadway because they've just been a gritty team to play against. Love that matchup. You mentioned Cole Caulfield. He has just been on fire ever since St. Louis became the coach. And I saw a clip where he was breaking down like a one-timer move where Ovi's office is and catch the pass, fake the one-timer, step out, create new angle. He has just been so fun to watch, so electric. He's finally, getting his confidence coming into his way. Another game I watched. Obviously, Austin Matthews. We could always talk about him for hours on end. But I thought the Oilers pulled out a win pretty good. I mean, the Kings have been sneaky good lately. They're trying to get that last playoff spot out there. But when you're playing against McDavid and Draisaitl, it's always going to be a tough night for the team.
It goes to show you that Edmonton, they can play defense, and Mike Smith can play well when he wants to, but you don't get it every single game with them. But the thing that I lost with LA, took a shot with them as a home dog last night, but I said I'm going to dare Edmonton to really play that well on the road, both ends of the ice against someone other than San Jose and Anaheim. I mean, let's be honest, that's who they beat the first two games of the road trip. I thought it would be a step up for them against LA. They played well. They passed the test, and credit to Edmonton, and they played good hockey for about 2 weeks. Yeah, they've had a couple blips on the screen, but for the most part, the last couple weeks, their team game overall has improved. And again, it's just going to come down to that team defense and that goaltending at playoff time, because McDavid's been great, Draisaitl's been great. You can't just say it's those two guys only. Yamamoto stepped up. Hyman's been a great addition. Vander Kane's been doing pretty well lately when he's not taking 4 penalties a game. I should say. He's still got issues with that. I mean, he takes some really reckless, stupid, undisciplined penalties, and at some point that's going to cost Edmonton, but he is producing at the offensive end, which is what Ken Holland brought him in to do. DJ, some thoughts from last night?
Yeah. I mean, I hit, I think 3 of my 4 best bets. I had a couple of my favorite props hit, but it was my first actual of 10 props. I only hit, I think, 4. This is my first not great prop night, but all of my favorite gold props hit in one parlay, which saved me big time because it was like $25 turned into like $700 because I round robin the whole thing. So sometimes, one part of your game doesn't get there. One of my favorite bets that didn't hit was that Edmonton LA over. I was shocked. It should have hit many different ways, or at least pushed. I can't believe we didn't get the 6th goal there because I had it at 6. Is what it is. I think the most impressive stat that I saw was the Taves line got, I don't think I've ever seen it. If you guys use HockeyViz or not, when they were out there against the McCann line, they didn't register a single shot attempt. The Taves line for Chicago. I mean, they got bullied by a back-to-back, not very good Seattle team. So
they played in St. Louis the night before, right? Yeah.
I had a lineup that had the perfect Vancouver stack to win all the money, and I put it with freaking Chicago won. Oh my God. It was them, Toronto, and Edmonton. I couldn't make anything work perfectly besides Chicago. I almost threw my laptop out the window. I was like, come on. And the other stack, one of the stacks I talked about loving was that Caulfield stack. I didn't end up having it. It went crazy. And it's one of those things that in DFS, just because the team's really bad, doesn't mean they won't be a winning lineup, like type of a stack, because sometimes teams are really bad and one of their lines is not really bad. And that line could destroy Andrew Hammond. I mean, I think that's one thing I've noticed is their ownership was way less than I thought it'd be. I should have been in on it a little bit more than I was. But other than that, I mean, I lucked out in Toronto, Dallas over. That was luck more than anything else. And I also like Montreal. That was my dog tonight, which wasn't that bold. Everything else kind of just some weird things that didn't get there. Like Jesper Bratt not getting 3 shots on goal kind of broke my heart. But we'll move forward. I think tonight's hopefully going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, that's the great thing about NHL and these kind of sports that are every day, NBA, baseball, every single day. You can pick yourself up pick yourself up off the mat quickly if you have a bad day the day before and look to bounce back and have better results the next day. So with that in mind, let's break down a Friday night slate and with 5 games. We'll start with the Boston Bruins taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay minus 150, home favorites here, 5.5 the total. 6 in a lot of spots, 5.5 though at DraftKings, which is important to note because if you can find that 5.5 at DraftKings or other places, although you should be looking at DraftKings, our great sponsors and partners here at the Ice Guys and the Hockey Podcast Network. I am interested in the over a little bit at 5.5. Tampa Bay's been trending that way the last few games for sure. So I think more than anything, even without Pasternak in the lineup for the Boston Bruins, we're looking at a Boston team that their last 5 games, they've scored, actually, if you go back their last 6 games, they've scored 6, 4, 8, 5, 3, and 3. So they've been consistently putting the puck in the net the last 6 games. Will they miss Pasternak? Yeah, they will. But, Marchand Bergeron, DeBrusk's going to play on that top line, and he's filled the void pretty well. We know the reason why he's still a Bruin is because of the great, stretch of play he's had for them the last several weeks. Hall, Howland, and McLaughlin in the second line. It looks like Coyle and Smith on the third line for the Bruins. So, yes, obviously, Pasta will be missed. You're not suiting up tonight for the Bruins, but I like the way their collective team is playing at the moment offensively. I think they can overcome that absence a little bit. Not to mention, Vasilevsky's got a little bit of a shaky time of it right now. There's no doubt about that. This is a goalie that's kind of fighting it right now. He gives up 4 to Washington. Toronto lit him up for 6 in the 6-2 Leaf victory over the Lightning on Monday. 5, although that was Elliott, the Montreal game, so throw that one out. But still, Tampa gives up 4 actually. The 5-4 was a shootout. So, there's just been some issues with Vasilevsky's play as of late. So I think Boston could chip in offensively here. Like I said, Tampa's gone over in 5 straight games. I think they are capable of finding the back of the net here. More than anything, because even though he's going to get the start tonight, Linus Ullmark, for the Bruins, he's been good lately. I mean, the last 5 starts, I just don't trust it to continue for him indefinitely. I mean, I don't look at him as a 1.69 goals against, 931 save percentage goalie. I just don't. Now, that's his numbers in the last 5 starts. But still, there's been a lot of mediocrity as well. He's facing a Tampa Bay team that I know they're not playing their best hockey right now, far from it, having lost 3 in a row. But I think offensively they can make do some damage here, especially when you look at the fact that there won't be Hampus Lindholm on that blue line for the Bruins. Lower body injury. He won't suit up tonight. That's a guy that was brought in to be one of your sturdy, more reliable, shutdown defensemen for the Boston Bruins. He won't be in the lineup tonight. So I would just stick to maybe over 5.5, minus 120, which is what it is at DraftKings. As far as a side goes, good on you trying to pick one. I'm not laying $150 with Tampa Bay. Like I say, they look disinterested. They look like they don't care where they finish in the standings. They look like they just want to get the playoffs here. And on the Boston side of the equation, they do have a couple injuries that bother me. If I had to pick a side or bet a side here, I would take Boston at the plus money, at the plus price at 130, and they have won 2 straight head to head against Tampa. But I think just in this spot, I'm going to stay back a little bit. Just look maybe toward over 5.5, just to lean to Boston. I won't be pulling the trigger personally on the side because I know the moment I do fade Tampa, that's going to be the night they show up. And they always do worry about that. But right now, Tampa is a favorite. I'm not interested with what I've seen. I've seen disillusionment. I've seen disengagement from this team. I've seen a distinct lack of urgency at the moment from the Lightning. Maybe they ramp it up tonight, but I'm going to have to see it first. DJ, what do you think? Your Bruins Lightning?
Yeah, no, I think you kind of summed it up pretty nicely. I don't have this game as I have it at 5.6, so it's right there on the edge. We're not getting Pasternak, as you said. I think Tampa goes back to Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos as they did in the last game when they were down against Washington. I think that's going to stick, but we don't have confirmation on that yet. It's again, you talked about that Tampa, Ben, but this Boston team just went into Detroit and lost 5-3. So I don't feel great about them either. I think the best of anything on this entire game is DeBrusk over a point at plus 100. He was on the top power play. I mean, he's definitely a good shooter, and he plays with guys named Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand. That's all the time. That's every minute of his ice time is going to be with them. So I think that's where I'd go first and foremost. I'm not really interested in laying huge, minus 200 to, minus 200 for Stamkos, minus 180 for Point's a little bit better for Point. to have a point, but I'd rather just take DeBrusk. Feels like this is an over. As you said, right around 6 goals. DeBrusk is probably involved. I don't really feel super strong on any shots except for maybe Bergeron over 3.5 at +10. He's been shooting a ton, but no Pastrnak. He's shooting way more on the power play. That's definitely the guy they're trying to get shooting the puck, him and DeBrusk. So those are probably the two, and I'm not taking a side here. I shade Tampa by a hair, and it's just not enough. I almost have this game as a dead pick'em, so I guess that makes me think maybe Boston, but I just don't like it. I'd rather just keep my money and not do it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's the great thing about sports bettors, hockey bettors, any sport. They have to put out a betting line and props and numbers for every game. We don't have to bet every game. That is the great thing, and you can pick and choose. For me, this is a lukewarm opinion on the over. That's about it. Maybe Nick Paul has some value from a prop standpoint for Tampa because he did score the other night. To score a goal, you can get him in that 350 to 400 range. Even shots on goals, an option there. He had 4 in the last game. So it's definitely something to keep in mind.
If he's with Stamkos again, it's kind of like, what, I don't know. I mean, even with Cirelli, it's not like Cirelli's useless, but he's not Steven Stamkos. So it really is going to depend. And I think if it is Point, Palat, Kucherov, I'm going to go back to Kucherov shot prop for sure because he was firing like crazy in that game. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he finished with shot attempts, but I could probably pull it up quickly. It was a ton. He had 3 blocked, 3 missed. No, I'm on the wrong side. He had 4 blocked, 1 missed, and 4 on net. So I might go back to him if the lines stay the same, but we'll see. If it's with Stamkos and Point, I just hate playing Russian roulette with that line. Who's going to shoot?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Peyton, what did you think here, Boston and Tampa?
Yeah, I want to jump on the bandwagon with you guys about not really picking a team here because, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, when Ian, we were talking about this prior, is the Lightning, they don't care like where they finish at this point. They finished first beforehand and they didn't turn out too well with Columbus, but I mean, they're also down in the series 2-1 against the season series versus the Bruins. And I don't know, I think it'd be tough to pick a particular team at this moment just because obviously, just due to injuries and stuff like that, it's quite a gamble. But what's been very fun to watch the past couple of weeks is we've had so many different potential playoff matchups happening in the regular season. So, I'm sure the coaches on the locker room saying, hey, we could see these guys, let's establish dominance now, just to have that mental edge on them leading into the, for the Cup finals and everything. But I don't know. It would be a pretty tough one at this moment to pick a straight up head to head because of that.
Yeah, it is. It's two teams, especially Tampa. I mean, to beat Tampa Bay's already got May 2nd on their mind. That's what it looks like right now with the way they played lately. May 2nd, which of course is the first day of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Yeah, I think that's what they're thinking of right now. We've got Andrew McInnis joining us now, and I didn't realize he got last-minute tickets and a flight to Augusta, Georgia, and the Augusta National there. But look at that; that's pretty good. He's joining us from the Mass. No, I'm kidding. Of course, that's just his backdrop. Andrew, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? A little bit late, but it sounds like you're kind of just getting started here. So, yeah, good to be here. Pretty busy day. Lots of sports going on. As we know, it's not just an NHL day. We're talking about Masters, baseball, NBA, so much stuff going on. But yeah, in this game, guys, I kept it simple here. I mean, I'm just on the first period over 1.5. It's kind of where I've looked. I think we'll see a desperate Tampa Bay team. And, when I say desperate, all the things you guys just said, I mean, how much do they care? We've been kind of asking ourselves that for a while, but I think they care enough to have a good first period, but I also don't trust them defensively. And the Bruins' top guns are playing very well. I missed who you guys were talking about, but I'm going to assume maybe it was Patrice Bergeron for shots on goal because he's crushing that prop. So those are kind of 2 looks that I'd mention here today on the show for this one. First period over. And hey, why not keep it going here with the Bergeron shots on goal?
Yeah, he has been. And obviously with no Pastrnak tonight, you'd think the opportunity will be there for more of a volume shooter as well tonight for Bergeron on that Bruins top line tonight. All right, Buffalo Sabres, Florida Panthers. Florida minus 440. Home favorites here, 7 the total. I'm back on the over with the Florida Panthers here. Over 7 minus 110. I talked myself into not shying away from 7s with the Florida Panthers a few games ago, and since then I've won every over I've taken with them. The New Jersey game, the Toronto game, every game pretty much since that time. And even at 7s, we're seeing this team go up and over the total. Dustin Tokarski expected to be in net tonight after Anderson got the start last night against Carolina. Dustin Tokarski's struggling. I mean, that's all there is to it. If you watch every recent Sabres game, and certainly DJ has with Tokarski in net, he looks like this miniature man that the pucks are going right through him. He doesn't take up a whole lot of space in the net. And right now, there's players left and right on opposing teams finding holes against Dustin Tokarski. Even the one victory he did get recently, that was just they bailed him out and scored 6, when they beat Chicago. That crazy goal where the stick breaks and it ricochets off the skate of Lankinen, and that's the game-winning goal with like 10 seconds left. It's not like Tokarski played well in that game. He gave up 5, but Buffalo scored 6 for him. So he's really fighting it. And the fact that he doesn't cover up a lot of the net, when you think about all these weapons and all these lethal finishers that the Florida Panthers have, that really could be trouble. And you add on to that Buffalo could be a little bit, worn down, fatigued a little bit coming into this game, second night of back-to-back games on the road after playing in Carolina last night. This could be a pretty good night for the Florida Panthers offense to go off and have another big night. And they've certainly done a lot of that lately. 7 against Montreal, 4 against Florida, 7 against Jersey, 5 against Buffalo last weekend in Buffalo, and then the 7th spot to come back and beat Toronto earlier this week. On the flip side, though, Buffalo, I think they can find the back of the net too here in this one. Their offense has been finding ways, and they haven't necessarily lit up the shot counter like they did last night against Carolina. They still scored 3. In fact, you look back at the Buffalo Sabres, 9 of their last 10 games, they have scored at least 3 goals. And that is significant because while I did bet over 7, I like Buffalo team total here as well. Over 2.5 at plus 110. I mean, for a team that scored 3, 9 of the last 10 games, a Florida team that right now is just not shutting it down completely, night in and night out at the defensive end. This Buffalo Sabres team total over 2.5, it's been continuing to cash. I've taken it a few times. I didn't take it last night, and I should have, and someone I know very well really liked it, and I said, I don't know, Carolina lost to Buffalo in Buffalo. I think they maybe get back at Buffalo pretty well here tonight. I don't know if I love that team total. Sure enough, Buffalo's got freaking 2 goals on the board the first 6 minutes before I even blinked last night. So, no, that's an undervalued thing right now with the Sabres. Their team total over. They only need 3 to cash it. They've scored 3 goals minimum, 9 of the last 10 games. So I'm going to bet that as well. Sabres team total over 2.5 at a plus price, plus 110. And I also like the over 7 here with the full game total as well, Sabres and Panthers. Peyton, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think? Buffalo, Florida.
I was hoping you were going to call me first. I'm going to pick Buffalo. The reason why I say that is, I mean, their past 5 games, they're playing against Stanley Cup teams. And I know it's kind of weird because in the season series with the Panthers, they are 3-0. So the Panthers are 3-0. So in my mind, I'm like, they're probably due for a win. Because they've been playing so well, I think that team is starting to click very well. I bet that the whole camaraderie in the locker room is getting there. DJ, I know we were talking about this prior to the show as well. Is I think that team is they've got optimism right now. I think they're really galvanizing. They're playing for each other. They got a young team. They got some sick draft picks coming in, and I think they have a lot to prove. They have a lot to prove. Just wrapping up the season and years to come. I mean, yeah, I'm sure the players are pissed off. The fans are pissed off that, they just set an NHL record for most years consecutively missed out of a Stanley Cup playoff. So, I mean, those guys, they're fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for spots on the team. And I know they want to end the season strong. So me personally, I would go with the Sabres at this point because the Panthers, they've already got a lock. They don't care as much.
Yeah, I might sprinkle on the plus 1.5 just for some security. I don't know about whether they win, but I think they're very live. I'm certainly not laying minus 440 against the Buffalo Sabres right now. That is not happening. No. And someone asked me on Twitter, what do you think of these teams that are out of the playoffs? Do they just mail it in? I said, does it look like Buffalo's mailing it in right now? No, they are not. You've got to take it case by case. Every team is different. Some teams out of the playoffs, they're rolling over and playing dead right now. You're seeing teams. San Jose's kind of like that. Arizona's struggling right now. But the Buffalo Sabres are not one of those teams. So it's case by case with that question. Is a team out of the playoffs going to just roll over and mail it in the rest of the way? Buffalo's not done that. And again, the plus 1.5, if you want to be a little bit more cautious and not take money line, plus 1.5 is plus 160. right now on the Buffalo Sabres. Look at the price you can get with that. And Florida is coming off a big comeback against Toronto. So this could be one of the, and I think they play Nashville. Yes, they do tomorrow night. So, it is a little bit of a dubious spot for the Panthers, especially as a minus 440 favorite here. DJ, what do you think? Buffalo, Florida.
I really struggle with this game for many reasons. One, being a Sabres fan, just you're automatically biased, but maybe in the wrong direction sometimes. Anyways, though, this game sets up in a few different ways. Number one, over the last 10, these teams are 4-5 in Corsi against per 60 as far as being good defensively. So they're limiting shots better than anyone except for the Rangers, Carolina, and Boston. So they've been actually pretty good defensively. Both teams have. Granted, the Sabres' last 10 includes a lot of bad games before the last 3 against Carolina, and Florida. So before then, they got to play Chicago, which is basically free. They don't get to shoot against you at all because they suck. But this game, in general, it doesn't profile to me as like the easiest over bet. But man, it feels like it. It really, like everything about this, Tokarski, the Sabres, like you said, coming out playing as hard as they can late in the year. And the way Florida just bounces back in games. So I'm not going to bet it personally because all of my math is saying don't bet this over. It shouldn't get there with the shot attempts. So I'm not going to do it myself. I'm also not going to take the Sabres over 2.5, even though it just prints money. And I bet it almost every night. But this matchup really lends to them not getting there. I think if you do like the over, you're kind of betting on Tokarski just being terrible. And you're just, why not take the plus, 115 at 4.5 over? Because if it's going to get there, it's probably because the Panthers pump 5 on them. Which I kind of think could happen here. As far as DraftKings is concerned, I do think playing Buffalo 1 in a lineup is just a good option because if you think they're going to get 3 goals, we know where it's coming from. All of these other 3 lines are very bad. So Tuck, Thompson, and Skinner are come way down in price from where they usually are against Florida, which I don't really think is all that warranted with the way Florida gives up goals. So yeah, this game is a struggle for me. I look at a couple of different things here. I think that the props, on the other hand, are interesting because we should get Mackenzie Weegar on the first power play again. He played the entire last game on the first power play against Toronto, and they scored 3 times. So him coming off the first power play would be a bit crazy to me. It's not quite what it was, but minus 125 for Mackenzie Weegar, who is just their best defenseman. And when he's out there, Barkov's out there. Huberdeau's out there, Drew's out there. They don't really use him other than to try to create more offense. So I really don't see him missing in perpetuity, I guess, but you never know in a 1-game sample. Really, a lot of these Panthers props, except for Barkov and Huberdeau, feel pretty good. Verhaeghe led them in 5-on-5 minutes last game when they scored 7. He plays with Barkov in all of those 5-on-5 minutes, yet he's not in the first power play. I get it, but he's what? Minus 135. So I do think if you think the Panthers can score, there's a lot of point props you can take. I've been stacking my point props, obviously all straight. You can't correlate them together in a parlay. I'm having, I would say, some success. Some nights are perfect. You get the first goal in the first period and all of your props have hit and you just feel fantastic. Last night, a little bit worse, but what are you going to do? I do think Weegar fits into really anything you want to do. Like if you want to go with, any of the lines and go with the players in the power play, it fits nicely. I don't know if there's one shot prop I'm overly bullish on here. Really not one player is, I'm just pulling up the exact teams. The only player that stands out is actually Mackenzie Weegar. He's averaging 7.4 shot attempts over the last 10. He's not getting them on net. So I don't know what's going on there because he's only hit a couple in his last 10 of over 2.5. So I don't know how that's happening. The next guy on the list is Giroux, which it's a bit, it's shaky, but I like it. I think I might do it, but what's the price on again? It's
he's only minus 135 to get a point tonight, Weegar, for Florida.
That too, that's even better. That's the thing is, I think that there's more opportunity for a point to hit because the expected goals are higher than what the shot volume should be. So when that happens, I normally go to point props. People always ask that, why do you pick a point here and not a shot here? And I'm like, well, that's why, because there shouldn't be as much volume in this game in general. But I think there should be more goals than expected. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this.
Less shots, but a high degree of efficiency is what we could see.
Exactly. And that's what the Sabres, like you said, in the first 6 minutes, actually in the first 9 minutes, they had 2 shots on goal and they both went in.
They both went in.
how efficient can team be? So yeah, I just think there's going to be more goals above expected here. So I'd rather go with the point props than the shot props.
And sometimes when teams are just in a good groove offensively, they don't need 30, 40 shots on goal in a game to produce. Give them 10, 15 shots and they can get you 3 or 4.
Well, they have 3 lines that can't produce at 5-on-5. So they only have 1. So when they, you get 10 minutes, they get 2 or 3 shifts. That's why.
Well, once in a while you get a little blip and a little sign of life from a
Poso. You get the one Dylan Cousins sneaking through
and Middlestad every now and then. I was kind of disappointed with what he's done since he's returned. I know he's coming back, but
it is flashes. It is. If you watch every single shift, you notice him once, and that one shift is a great move and a great shot on net, and the rest of the time he's disappeared. Hopefully, we find him a little more often in the future. Because
DJ, I'm glad you brought up Uyghur because he's been playing nasty lately. He's been getting chances. He's being put in spots to produce for the team. His past 5 games, he's got 5 points.
Yep.
Now, granted,
I don't get it.
Granted, he has been on the highlight reel a little bit with that missed tip from to Darlene, and then whenever Marner burned him on the shorthanded goal. But besides that, I mean, he's looked great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 5 and 5, so which is really good for his point average. He's come a long way.
He's got a mini Devon Taves thing going on where his offensive game is really evolving from the back end, much like Devon Taves has this year with the Colorado Avalanche, where I didn't know he had that in him. And now all of a sudden we see it, and we're starting to see it in glimpses right now with Mac Weegar as well.
Honestly, it's a really good comparison because if Makar misses, all of a sudden Devon Taves just tries to become Cale Makar. And I really think Weegar is trying to become Aaron Ekblad. It's not quite, it's a watered down version, but
that's right.
It doesn't matter to me because I'll take that when Ekblad would be minus 200 easy, probably more tonight. And we get Weegar, same minutes, same usage, trying to do the same thing. And doing it decently successful, as we just said, at a much reduced price. I mean, that's how you pick the best prop.
Yeah, exactly. So Weegar makes sense. $1.35 is what I'm seeing just to get a point. If you want to be adventurous, because he has had 2 points in back-to-back games, I see it over 1.5 on Weegar plus 320. If you really, really want to get a little bit of a value price there, definitely something to consider. All right, Andrew, finally time to get you in here. What do you think here, Buffalo, Florida?
I feel like I should just wait until the next game now. You guys have dissected the hell out of this one, so I feel like there's no point in me even saying anything. But, I think that that Sabres team total over is where I'm going to look here. I mean, every time you think it might be, you know what, Sabres have played well, and then they've kind of looked, maybe it's going to be a flat spot tonight. It hasn't been, and the Florida Panthers, they have been involved in some heavy games lately. They played some really tough teams recently, and even the games they haven't played tough teams, they've put forward great efforts. So, there's no reason why this shouldn't be a 7. That's for sure. I mean, I can't talk anybody off and over, but I'm just going to take a look at that Sabres team total over. I like what they're doing. They're giving a full effort. And most importantly, just kind of like what you mentioned, Ian, about yesterday, I had a small piece of Carolina puck line, and I should go and buy a lottery ticket for that one. But the start that Buffalo is having is the most impressive thing. So even if they can catch Florida off guard and get 1 even in the first period, 2 maybe, they set themselves up. And obviously we love those low team totals because you're not trying to ask them to get to 4 or 5 goals. You just need 3 goals to win.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't forget about live betting Florida when they're down by 5. That's a mortal lock. So if the Sabres do
been good
3
lately
on them early, I had it. I was actually really weirdly, the Devils game was down by 4 and I had it and I was going to bet it. And I was actually going to play laser tag, weirdly enough. And I was trying to, it wouldn't load and I couldn't bet it. And I'm like, that's never going to anyways. And it hits. I'm like, oh my God. So don't go play laser tag if you're trying to bet.
Yeah. Good piece of advice. Yeah. Don't get distracted when you're trying to place live bets. Focus on the task at hand. Good. That is a good piece of advice because I've missed out. Someone calls me at the last minute and I forget, and then I missed the chance. So put the bet in, then do something else. Yeah. Islanders, Hurricanes. Hurricanes minus 180. Home favorites here, 5.5 the total. This is going to be a pass for me. I don't really have much on this game. I think Carolina, it is back-to-back, but it's at home. There's no travel situation. Islanders have played better lately, but they fell short to Dallas the other night. And it's really to the point now where that loss in particular, snuffed out any little glimmer of hope they had probably to catch Washington. It's not going to happen now. Carolina needs to keep winning. I don't think that's just, wow, we beat Buffalo, we're back on track, we can slough off and just screw off tonight and not do anything to beat the Islanders. No, they're still only 2 points ahead of the Rangers right now for first in the Metro. The Rangers have come on like a freight train. So these are still important games, important points for the Hurricanes. They're still, to me, a better team than the Islanders. They've owned the Islanders. You look at the head-to-head, I think it's 9 straight head-to-head wins for the Carolina Hurricanes over the New York Islanders. But am I going to lay minus 180 or even regulation on a back-to-back? No. So I think Carolina wins, but I'm passing here. Andrew, we'll start with you here. Islanders, Hurricanes.
Yeah, this one, when I first looked at it, you always, I talked about in the month of April, when I do my handicapping, I work backwards. I cross off the games I'm not going to be interested in and see what's left, And this one at first didn't seem as appealing until I started looking at it more and more and more. And as you guys know, Brendan Moore is one of those coaches that you just don't want to piss off. He's a great coach to rely on for comebacks, to give it to his team during the intermissions. And also, I think he's also a coach that doesn't get too satisfied. Hey, I'm happy because they covered the puck line yesterday. If I'm a coach of that team, though, in your meeting after the game with the coaches meeting, are you guys pumped about that game for Carolina? No, because the players are celebrating, the music going in the locker room, clinch the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. But really, it wasn't a good game. They played 20 minutes of hockey. And to your point you just made there, Ian, it's not like there's just nothing left to prove. I mean, in the NBA right now, the Miami Heat, they literally have nothing else, to prove. They're first place in the East. Not the case here for the Hurricanes and for a lot of teams in the NHL, still fighting for those individual spots in the playoffs. And, I'm not a huge trends and stats guy, as you know, like we use it for our handicapping. I'm not going to come on here and read you guys all kinds of things anybody can look up, but there's a lot of things that point towards the Hurricanes in this matchup, the Islanders as underdogs. They're a great team when they're a favorite. They're a great team in pick-em matchups, but line for line and defensively, I don't think they match up well against Carolina. And also, I hate to crap on Antti Ranta, but let's be honest here. There's only 21 or 22 shots allowed last night. And as someone that had Carolina puck line, I was like, damn, if you look at the scoreboard, you wouldn't think that. Anyway, so Freddie's in tonight. That also helps. So I like Carolina in regulation.
All right, like in Carolina, Andrew here in regulation, get him closer to even money with that. How about you, DJ? Isles and Hurricanes.
I mean, it's Sorokin in net. That definitely hurts the upside here. I actually have this as like an expected goal pace thing as the highest total of the night, and that definitely hurts it. I feel like, honestly, Sorokin's save prop over 30.5. I think Carolina puts over 30 shots on him for sure. So if Sorokin is healthy, which I'm guessing he is, he hits that for sure. I think there will be a lot of shots from the Hurricanes. So this, but just because the Islanders have been a train wreck defense, that's a little bit strong. They've been not very good defensively. Bottom 5 in Corsi against over the last 5. So I think that, I'm not really looking at many Islanders props at all because I have no trust in any of their lines to find and sustain a lot of offense. For that reason, Trocheck over 2.5. He had 6 shot attempts, 5 on goal last game, over 2.5 plus 145. He's with Turbo now, and I think Turbo's just a better puck distributor than Svechnikov. Makes a lot of sense considering Svechnikov is their best rate shooter. So if that sticks, I don't think you need to bet that before we get the lineup, and we're not going to get it before 20 minutes before puck drop. I think you wait it out, make sure, bet that prop, but I can't imagine they change, as they didn't change last game and they came back and won. So I think both of them are fine.
Around with a winning lineup, that's
So Trocheck over 2.5 plus 145 just kind of seemed egregious to me, like a mispricing. Only that's just how they price things. He was over 1.5 at minus 185. Then he gets it. Now they move it to here. It's not like they reinvent the wheel every time. So just how it shifts, take advantage of it. That's the best prop here. I know it's not a slam dunk. We might be in the third period praying that we get that last one, but with Sorokin in net, I think they keep it a bit closer. I have the puck line. I took it before Sorokin was in. A little bit more worried about it now because I do like the Hurricanes a lot here, but I think you just take that, move on. A point prop is okay from the Hurricanes. Svechnikov minus 160. Well, he's with Aho now, so that's pretty good. If you're playing with Sebastian Aho full time, I might get a point by accident. So I mean, that feels like the better point props on anything. But again, you might want to wait till the last minute. Trocheck minus 125 as well. Full power play. Again, he's normally not the most involved on that power play, as far as him getting an assist on the power play isn't as likely as Svechnikov and Aho. So I'd just rather be a little bit for here with the point props. Other than that, I think I gave you 3 pretty good ones. I'll pass it on.
And Sorokin has been good. That's the one caveat to this. And there's
if
some people on
Sorokin-
Twitter saying
yeah.
that made a case for the Islanders, saying, "Well, you got to, fade the team after clinching a playoff spot." You really think the Hurricanes are, having a celebration and popping the champagne after clinching a playoff spot? I mean, come on, guys. What are we talking about here?
What's more valuable right
me?
now than taking one? One in the East might be one of the more valuable things, and they're right there. I mean, if you play Washington at home ice throughout, that's a lot better than playing Boston right now. I mean, I don't know. I think that's motivation for me if I'm a player.
Yeah. The bottom line is, I'm not saying that the Islanders aren't a terrible side. They're getting a nice price. They've put up a good effort recently, repeatedly. But if you're going to use the crux of your argument to bet on them tonight as letdown after clinching a playoff spot, I think it's misguided. Find other reasons to like the Islanders. Don't say it's a fate of Carolina clinching a playoff spot. This is not something to celebrate. They have big aspirations moving forward. They're not celebrating clinching a playoff spot. No way, no how. What do you think, Peyton? Islanders, Canes.
I think in these breakdowns, going last sucks because everybody's already said everything.
I feel that.
Everybody
Andrew, great job breaking it down. And just to piggyback off what you said and Ian said as well, is, I mean, with Rob the Bod behind the bench, that guy he's not a content person. He wants to be the best always.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree. I don't think they're in the locker room celebrating. I mean, maybe some of the guys might have gone to the bar last night or something, but they still want to lock in number one. I mean, like New York's on their heels, but this game is really interesting because the Islanders and the Hurricanes, they both play such structured games. Very, very. I mean, Barry Trotz, very structured. I mean, look, Jesus, look at their GM. So they're very locked down. Rob the Bot has their structure. I was listening to a podcast that Martin Nook was on. He was saying the same thing. Like, if we're not playing within structure, you're going to hear it from Rod. so they play very, very structured. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, Sebastian Aho, he's been on a tear. I think he's super underrated. I think if the reins were let loose on him a little bit, he could probably produce more points than he has. But then again, it's there's no I in team. They want to win collectively. And yeah, I don't know. I think with this one in particular, and it's just kind of weird because the Islanders are known for their defense and how few goals they let up. Granted, I would love to see Chara get a goal this season. That would be pretty cool just to see Chara get one. But yeah, I mean, if we're going straight up, and let me just preface it. I mean, I think y'all know this by now. I'm pretty new with the betting world and all the terminology and numbers, breaking it down and that stuff. But I would pick the Hurricanes because I know Rob the Bod, he's not in the locker room hooting and hollering and cheering and stuff.
You're not cheering a playoff match. No way. That's not happening.
No,
right.
No, he was probably still in the gym at 5:30 this morning, doing his curls. So
yeah, very possible.
I'm just gonna one really weird stat. I was looking
something I have not done at any point in my lifetime. Curls at 5 a.m. No. Yeah.
So the Islanders are second lowest over the last 10 in Corsi for per 60, and the Hurricanes are far and away the best at Corsi against per 60, by multiple attempts at per 60. I mean, man, the Islanders finding offense here would be a miracle. And I think there's a couple of games weighing that down, but the Hurricanes have had, I think, 4, I believe, with 22 or less shots on goal in the past 10. I think that's one of them was a 15 against Dallas. That's pretty bad. So I would take a look and just, again, if you're betting on the Islanders to find offense here, I think you're going the wrong way. I also don't think you should play the DFS goalie for the Hurricanes because if they win and they allow 1 or 2 goals, they're not optimal. So I just want to point that out. I know I'm just saying they might not find a lot of goals, but they might find 1 or 2. And if that happens and you have, and with 18 saves, he's not optimal. So I just want to make that point as well.
Yeah, definitely. And in this one, Noah Dobson, we got to give him credit. He's had a nice season for 2 points in the last game against Dallas, and he's found a little offensive flair for the and that's kind of what made the Devon Tate. That's kind of why Lamoriello traded Devon Tate, because he thought Noah Dobson could be the cheaper and fit into that role and play well, and he's playing well for the Islanders, especially of late. And his offensive game, 40 points, it's pretty good. All right, Minnesota, St. Louis. We've got the even money here, both sides, -110, 6 the total in this game. Minnesota off a bad performance against Nashville. I'd expect them to be better here, but St. Louis, first of all, St. Louis has won 3 in a row at home. St. Louis has owned Minnesota, believe it or not. St. Louis is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings against the Wild. And another thing I don't like for Minnesota, even though I kind of want to back them and I lean to them, is their penalty killing struggle. The Blues are just lighting it up with the power play. That could be a problematic matchup here for the Minnesota Wild. Their power play, the Blues, has been great, and the penalty kill for the Wild has really struggled lately, and that does concern me. There are a lot of trends that point to the over in this game, and that's really what I'm more veering toward in this game is over 6 -120. I think it gets there. Talbot and Husso are going to be the goalies. Husso continues to play pretty well for the most part, though he's had a couple of bumps in the road. He had that 4-goal allowance too, remember, recently as well against Calgary. But, he's still been better than Binnington. That's why he's getting the starts. Talbot in net for the Minnesota Wild, who will be without, by the way, Matt Dumba and Matt Boldy, both going to be out. Looks like Kyrou is game time decision tonight. Krug's still out for St. Louis, and I think at some point, they're still going to miss him at times defensively, especially when they play a very capable offensive team like the Minnesota Wild. So, and again, this has been an over series history. There's a lot of current trends where you got the Wild off a blowout loss, those kind of trends that point to Minnesota going over in the next game off a big loss. So that's what I'm going to roll with here. Wild Blues over 6 -120.
Ian, I hate to miss shows, and that's why I wanted to just pop in when I could. But I'm on Minnesota in this game, and I have the over in the late game. I apologize, but
that sounds like you got to run. Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
I love being here, so I'm happy that you guys are here with Ian as well, and hope you guys have a great day and good weekend. Those are my plays. Best bet for the show. Let's go with the over, Colorado, Winnipeg.
All right, Colorado, Winnipeg, which is our last game. We'll get to it in a sec, over 6. All right, Andrew, see ya. There he is, Andrew McInnis. All right, Peyton, what do you think here, Minnesota, St. Louis?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really fun game to watch, especially, both organizations, they want to win so bad. I mean, that kind of sounds like a blanketed statement. Yeah, like no shit, every organization wants to win games. But I know Bill Guerin, he's fighting. He's really been trying to turn this team around. I think he made some good moves as far as the trade deadline goes. But I mean, Kirill and Mats, those two guys, they've just been clicking. I mean, they've been just I saw some posts on Instagram about. I think Mats Zuccarelli has been like one of the most underrated players this season. I mean, he's putting up crazy numbers. I think Kirill is one of the most fun players to watch now. It's going to be interesting because I believe that the Blues they play such a physical, hard game. I mean, that's how they won the Stanley Cup. But I think Minnesota's going to come on top on this one.
I'm with you. I lean Minnesota. I might still bet them small, but at the same time, I'm also very concerned about the penalty kill against this Blues power play, which is just, I've been impressed all year with them. Shen and obviously Perron's been outstanding for them this year. They've got different guys they can mix and match. The Berube often does that. Tarasenko, O'Reilly, Auto Parts, Shen, Perron, Robert Thomas. Look at what he's done. Buchnevich, of course, getting him from the Rangers has been big. Look at Robert Thomas, by the way. I'd target points with him at the moment because you look at the last several games. He's got 7 points in the last 4 games for the St. Louis Blues. And this is a guy I saw up close and personal, Hamilton Bulldogs, in the Ontario Hockey League, the junior ranks. They traded for him that year. They made a push for the Memorial Cup, and Robert Thomas played great for us that year. And actually, we're in a season right now in the Ontario Hockey League where Hamilton could win the Memorial Cup again. We've got a team good enough to do it. So let's go Bulldogs on a totally unrelated story. But Robert Thomas, I saw him a lot here in Hamilton playing in the junior ranks, is a good player. He keeps getting better. He's feeling it right now. You talk about player props to target. Robert Thomas could do a lot worse than that right now for St. Louis. What do you think, DJ?
Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of – I'm going to piggyback. I like the Wild here. They're, I think, the better team in general. This game, it's not an over for me. I'm not betting the under either. It actually just moved to 6.5, and I'm kind of considering the under 6.5, but I'm just not going to do it. It really is going to come down to which version of Talbot do we get, and if it's the version that we've seen somewhat lately over the recent history, it's a great version. He's played really, really well. Only one kind of dud in his last 5 or 6. If he shows up and does what he did earlier in the year and when they traded for Fleury, it's not going to go well for that under bet. So I'm going to kind of fade that. I'm going to maybe put a small half unit on the Wild because I do think that its price, it's pretty good. Prop wise, nothing screams off the page, but I kind of just like Ryan Hartman over 2.5 plus 100. The 8 shot on goal game last time is boosting him up maybe more than it should, because he hadn't been really trending that fantastically before that. But this line should be getting a lot of run. I think that St. Louis could be somewhat susceptible defensively compared to what others maybe believe. Husso's going to have to bail him out, but since I think it's going to be close anyways, I think that top line out there as much as possible. So Hartman, plus 100 just feels a little bit better than, him to get 3 than Kaprizov to get 4 at about the same price. But I don't mind the Kaprizov either, because with Kaprizov, it's kind of like McDavid. If you took McDavid to shot pop every night and you watch him play, you are going to punch a hole in the wall when he doesn't hit, because he could hit it every night. He could take 100 shots on net. He just doesn't do it. And that's the same with Kaprizov. Some nights he takes 10 attempts, and some nights he takes 2, because he is just trying to be a playmaker. So with that, it always makes me a little nervous for the 4. The point props, you already said it. I mean, Thomas minus 150, like that's kind of a joke. They also changed their power play, and they have the full second line on one unit with Falk. I love that stack. I know it's going to be, I think it's going to go under the radar is what I'm getting at. I like the Wild here. So it's like, why would you take a stack on the other side? Because I think most of the public's going to like the Wild here. So a lot of people won't end up taking a lot of Blues, and you get the entire Tarasenko, Thomas, Buchnevich stack way under market value. Even if they only score 3 goals, the Blues, and they lose 4-3, let's say, like what basically the odds are telling us, they get all 3 of those goals, you still win in DFS. So I think that's probably my favorite stack from this game in general. It's very, very fairly priced. You can still afford Carolina or some Florida pieces with it. Not quite Colorado 1, but we'll get there next. So yeah, I overall in this game, I think there's some good props that have at least some meat on the bone. Really, everyone besides Kaprizov and Zuccarello are priced, I think, very fairly to get a point.
Yeah, definitely. That's the great thing about the Wild. You could really pepper the board and look for some good shots and good numbers, good prices.
I would be really interested in knowing why Kaprizov. I know like the points in general they have on the year, but Kaprizov minus 250, Zuccarello minus 205, and then you have Hartman at 135 for a point.
Yeah.
It's like they play together the whole time. I mean,
they're on the same line. Yes,
it's like
those are the players you like to pluck off and bet. When they're on that top line and they're totally at a much better price than the 2 line mates.
It is 53 points in 69 games, and it's like just zero respect, just none. Just no.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, DJ, because I love the Hartman pick. I mean, it almost sounds like a slam dunk, which I don't know if that's a good term to use or not, but I mean, he's almost just as skilled as them.
Yeah,
had 8 shots on goal against Nashville, even though he didn't score a point. Yeah. So be careful with looking at he didn't score a point yet.
And he works his balls off. He works hard.
Yeah.
He drives the bus for that line. And Matthews had over 10 shots on goal last night. So like those big boys, they can get as many shots and goals they want.
Yeah, I think the thing about Hartman too on the power play is he's not the net front guy. It's not like they want him shooting it just as much as Kaprizov. They have Spurgeon, Eriksson, who's net front. But the problem with Eriksson, he takes the face off, so sometimes you get a little boost on the power play point with that. But I mean, they pass to Hartman to shoot, and I don't know. It feels real weird to me, and I bet it. And people ask me like him and Brady Tkachuk are the 2 that I keep hammering. People are like, why them? And I'm like, just look at the pricing. Their line mates, like I know Norris has been scoring, but Brady assists on all of them. Like if you're running points, just take the better guy at the better price. So that's what I'd say there.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, those are always great. We see these constantly throughout the course of the season where you'll see a top line or a second line and 2 guys are priced up at minus 150 to get a point, and there's someone at even money or a plus price. You see it amazing how often.
We already said it with DeBrusk too. He's plus 100 while his line mates are minus 200. It's like, take the free money. Always
things I loved. Yeah, take that opportunity with that third guy that's mispriced on that same line.
It is a little role specific. Like I wouldn't say Jarvis is the same as, because he doesn't play any power play time almost at all. And 13, 14 minutes of ice time, but that is not the case with Hartman. He's going to play as many minutes as the other guys, and for good reason.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, he's got 53 points in 69 games this year. So that doesn't suck at all.
It's not bad.
No, that's not bad.
More than I have by
Yeah, not bad. And you know what it is? It's just good old-fashioned elbow grease and work ethic is what's got Ryan Hartman to that kind of count.
I mean, he's probably going to hit 30 goals this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's at 27. So record-breaking year for him.
No, he's been
Easy.
absolutely sensational. They've gotten everything and more from him, and they're going to continue. If they put him in positions like that to be a top 6 forward, he'll continue to score and produce just because of how he goes to the front of the net. He takes punishment to get there, and he is going to put himself constantly in a position to put the puck in the net. Now, is he going to go through a drought where, he's gotten all kinds of chances and shots and the puck doesn't go in? Yeah, everybody goes through that. But long term, he's going to continue to produce if he keeps getting these opportunities in the minutes, as far as I'm concerned. All right, Colorado, Winnipeg, final game on this Friday slate. Colorado minus 180, road favorite, 6 the total. I have to do it. Even though I thought I wouldn't take them again after losing to Detroit and what might have ended their season and their playoff hopes. But this spot screams that it's terrible for Colorado, right? They just swept Pittsburgh, back-to-back games in Denver. They beat them again in Pittsburgh the other night. They've got a bigger game coming up on tap tomorrow night against the Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton. And right in between, 2 big wins against Pittsburgh, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and the Oilers tomorrow night. You play lowly Winnipeg tonight for this Colorado team. And you're going to see Pavel Francouz in net instead of Darcy Kemper. And I'm not big on the way Francouz has played lately for the Colorado Avalanche. He played well in his last start against San Jose, but before that, we saw him, give up 3 goals to Philly, 3 goals before that to San Jose, 4 goals to the New York Islanders. The Islanders got 4 goals past him. So, he's not exactly a guy that I fully trust at the moment. And for Winnipeg, look, Josh Morrissey said I couldn't even look at my teammates in the eye after how bad that game was against Detroit. Now, maybe they're just so terrible right now. And look, obviously, Colorado is better than Winnipeg. No one's going to deny that. But this is a spot-driven league, especially at this time of year. And for Winnipeg, this is do or die. This is all hands on deck tonight. You need points desperately, hanging on, clinging for dear life to any sort of playoff hopes. You got to think about, maybe running the table. 1 or 2 losses at most is all you can afford the rest of the season. Yeah, I don't trust them for the full game, but I think in the first 20 minutes, you got Colorado, caught up in their heads a little bit. 2 big wins against Pittsburgh. Tomorrow night, they got Edmonton. And the last time Winnipeg played Colorado, it was in Denver, not Winnipeg, but they jumped on them 3-0. They led after the first period. Colorado ended up coming back and winning that game 6-3. But the Jets got off to a fast start in that game. And I think maybe Colorado a little disinterested, disengaged early. Winnipeg, now or never, do or die time. At least can I trust them in the first 20 minutes in the first period to maybe get a lead? I think so. I hope so. And I'm taking them at plus 135, plus 140 first period. Winnipeg.
So, are you kind of calling this one like a trap game for the
Yes,
Avs? Yeah.
kind of. Now, they're good enough to overcome the trap, but there's been games this year where even Colorado has fallen victim to the trap. Arizona beat them right before the All-Star break. That was the ultimate trap game. Arizona goes into Denver, beats them. Coyotes did that. So they have fallen victim in these kind of circumstances, Winnipeg. Colorado. But I think Winnipeg early in the game, do I trust them for 60 minutes? Hell no. I would lean to them in the full game money line, but I think it's better to focus in, zone in on the first period, because I think that could be where they get the jump on Colorado. I also like the over in the full game as well. I'm not going to argue with series history. It's been very, very high scoring, 7-3 to the over in the last 10 meetings with the Avs and the Jets. I think that will continue. And by the way, they played each other 3 of the last 4 meetings, or each of the last 3 meetings, I should say, 7-4, 7-1, 6-3. So they all went over the total. So I do like the game over 6 as well. Peyton, we'll start with you on this one. Final game of this Friday card, Colorado, Winnipeg.
Well, damn, after your breakdown, kind of tough to follow that one up. There's just so many variables going into this. It's kind of hard to pick a side in particular. I don't have like everything pulled up in front of me. I know I wasn't prepared, but if there's like a bet for McKinnon for shots, I would take that, because as of lately, they feed him on the power play. Now, what I have noticed in the power play, his shot's not that accurate, but he's taking them. I mean, the guy's like shooting like high as shit. So I don't know, but he's been a beast. He's been a monster. I'm sure his coach is telling him to stop fighting so he doesn't break his hand and get hurt for the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, because when the Jets want to win, I feel like if they care, like they're going to come out and they're going to win the game. Like they have the skill, they have the talent to do it. It's just a matter of like will and if they're actually going to run their game plan. But God, and then, yeah, you have Cale Makar, who's just he's going to win a Norris. Might not be this year. I think Yossi might have stolen it from him. But their depth is just phenomenal. I would love to see them win a cup. I would love to see McKinnon win a cup in particular. But to land a plane, this could be like a sneaky win for the Jets, especially because, like you said, Ian, they got the Oilers coming up tomorrow. So it's like, how much are they going to care about tonight? Which is kind of like a weird thing to say because you would assume a pro is going to care about every game they play in. But at the same time, let's keep it real here. I think their eye is probably more shooting towards tomorrow. So yeah, I would maybe the Jets.
I think it's just one of those. You see it coming sometimes from a mile away. That it worries me. Backup goalie in. They just beat Pittsburgh. One of these teams that people keep saying, maybe it's a Stanley Cup final preview. I don't know about the Pittsburgh side of it, whether they'll get through the East, but certainly Colorado can get through the West. And 2 big games. They won both. They play Edmonton tomorrow night. That's a bigger game than this one for Colorado. It's just all the warning signs and the red flags galore of maybe a danger spot for the Avalanche. But counter argument is when Winnipeg good enough to do anything about it, the team we just saw spit the bit at home to Detroit. And that is a legit question. DJ, what do you think, Avs Jets?
Winnipeg is my least favorite team betting on the year for sure. They are my kryptonite because I just keep there's no way this team is going to continue to allow as many high danger scoring chances as they do. And it's like we're too deep in the season now where I can't rely on that. We are getting Yertushkin back, who is a difference maker. We're also not getting Blake Wheeler, who is bad. That might actually help Winnipeg. He's not been very good, but he can
better lately. But
he can drive play offensively, but defensively, yikes. So I really do think here that there's a lot of reasons why I bet the Colorado puck line. I'm not going to lie to anyone. They're going to show up, and I think they're going to take care of business because that's what they do every game. Except for that one game against Arizona. I do remember that because I had $1 on Arizona and it hit and I was dying. So anyways, though, with all that being said, McKinnon, first off, you need 5 shots on goal for a hit for him. It's 4.5 minus 115. I don't hate it. Over the last 3, he's averaging 7 shots attempts. So, you hope you're on the right side of variance there. It could hit, but it's probably not favorite. Burakovsky is seemingly going to stay on his line. We don't know that for a fact, 1,000%, but it sounds like it's going to be in Yertushkin with Lehkonen and Kompher. Lehkonen and Kompher were on the first power play with Rantanen, McKinnon, and Makar. We don't know if that's going to stick with Yertushkin coming back. I have Lehkonen to score because it's like now with Yertushkin back, it's like I like that line even more to dominate offensively because Yertushkin is an amazing defensive player and really good at getting the puck down into the other zone. But I worry that Lehkonen might lose his power play role. But at wherever he is, plus 330 for Lehkonen. It's a good rate shooter. We were betting all day in Montreal with a bunch of Montreal Canadians that weren't even Cole Caulfield or Nick Suzuki. So I think I'd take it with Colorado Avalanche players like Makar that might be out with him. And I just really don't trust much of anything defensively for Winnipeg. I like their goaltending okay, and that's why I don't really hate the it's Hellebuck. We don't know yet, so we don't have a prop. But if you get Hellebuck at 29.5, I've been jamming Winnipeg goalies every time for their save prop pretty much. Not always with parlays, but sometimes. And it hits a lot. They've been giving up the past 3, 37 shots on goal, 834. Before that was a 29 against Arizona, letting Arizona almost get 30 shots. You should just be exiled. 32, 42. I mean, they are giving up a lot of shots again. So if you think Winnipeg gets this done, which I don't, they're going to be playing hard. It's going to be reliant on the goaltending, making big saves. I like Hellebuck very much. I do think that if you're, and to go into DFS really quickly, if you're not playing Colorado, where you have a really, really reduced price on line 2 and a very fair price on line 1, if you're not playing Hellebuck, you're definitely losing because even if Colorado, so let me just really quickly, this mentality on DFS for anyone that plays. If you fade Colorado and they score 6 goals, it doesn't matter at that point if you have Hellebuck or not because you are dead. You did not win any money. Hellebuck just made it worse. You went from not making any money in GPPs to coming in last. Rather than if you have a really good couple stacks early and Hellebuck gets a 45 save shutout, you might win the slate. So that's the mentality I use, and that's been successful for me. I'm not going to go over specific lineups I've done, but getting a lower owned goalie with good upside that's going to see a lot of shots in a game that, like we're saying, it's not that far-fetched that Winnipeg could win. I know I'm betting against them.
And he could face a lot of shots and stop him because he does have a 1.99 goals against Hellebuck.
Exactly.
He's
one of the he's one of the best goalies in the world. I would say top 5 for sure.
He lost his way for a bit, but he's been better again the last 5.
There was a short stint there where we were worried about him, but there was a short stint for Shesterkin. I mean, all goalies are going to have it. So if you playing DFS tonight and you're stacking Carolina, Florida, like I'm probably going to M1, you're putting in Hellebuck. That's one thing I'm going to say. And for props, McKinnon over 1.5 is big plus money, plus 140. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not that he does it every game, but he's incredibly involved. Makar is going to make the mix, I think, too, but they don't have him for 1.5 in DraftKings, so it's minus 240, which is just a heck of a price to pay for a point. So it's really parlay fodder only, not going to be included that with like straight bets because what's the point? Burke minus 145, as long as we see him on the top line. So without knowledge of it, I just can't in good faith put it in my mix. Because if it's Nertushkin, he's minus 120. So if they go out for warm-up skates and you're not jamming in Nertushkin's point prop, you're missing out on free money.
There you go.
If he's with McKinnon and Rantanen. Okay.
Yes. Which we don't know for sure. We think.
We don't know. We think. That's
we don't
what
know for sure. We're waiting.
Dater, I think, put, but coaches never confirmed that, and they didn't skate lines, so I think he's just kind of guessing. That's okay. He guesses a lot of stuff. He's not always wrong, but he likes to guess.
Yeah. Right now, they've got Burakovsky, McKinnon, Rantanen currently listed on the top line for Colorado tonight. But again, nothing confirmed totally as of yet. What Peyton said about McKinnon's shots definitely makes sense. I mean, that's up to 4.5 now, but he could get 5 easily, 5+.
Yeah. Way more.
That's what he's done. Yeah,
because
definitely.
I know they're not on the same 5-on-5 line, but they just rely on McKinnon so much more offensively. That maybe it's in his head, but it seems like when Kadri's not in, he hits almost every time. Last game, I think, was a big one for him, right? Did he have a whole? No, it was only 3 and 4. So he hasn't hit it in a while over 5, but he had, last time he played Winnipeg, he had 14.
Time he played, I was just about to say, last time he played Winnipeg, only 14 shots on goal for Nathan McKinnon in that game. Not too much.
There's probably a difference between shots on goal and shooting the puck.
Yeah, he shoots a lot. You're right.
McKinnon. He could shot attempts could be 100% with shots on net, which would just as of lately, from what I've seen, when he's ripping his one-timers in the power play, it's like 50-50. It's like I don't know if it's right or not.
Matt, on my morning skate, Matt always talks about McKinnon. He's like, he shoots a ton, but he's just not accurate, and people bury him. It's like, look how many goals he has. It's like, look, he's incredibly good at hockey, so like he's gonna get goals, but
I mean, he doesn't suck at hockey. So
if he's on the right side of variance tonight, he'll hit over 4.5 in the second period, probably a minute in. Like Winnipeg is a train wreck defense, and we thought they fixed it. They didn't fix it.
Yep.
I don't know. It's broken forever. They gotta move back to Atlanta maybe, and they'll fix it because
the problem is nobody in Atlanta wants them probably or cares to want them. So that's the issue with that. But tough times for Winnipeg. You're right. Defensively, I'll be honest, it's been a disappointment defensively. I thought bringing in Brendan Dillon was going to help. Nate Schmidt, and for some reason, I don't know, they've just had those same problems in their own end at times, and it's been disappointing to see that. I still think they miss Trouba from the old days because Trouba's fit in pretty nicely with the Rangers, what he's been able to do with them, and still missing that little rugged presence on the back end for sure. All right, great stuff. Yeah. All right, DJ.
They just can't. I was gonna say they just can't play Logan Stanley anymore. He literally threw away the game. I was like, oh my.
He's really had a tough time at times.
I feel bad. I mean, he has a lot of block shots, so people at DFS were like, "Oh, this guy any good?" And I'm like, "Well, he's always in his defensive zone because he can't play hockey." So it's tough. Okay, sorry.
There's no breakouts. You're right. There's problems handling the puck. You're right. There's been caught out of position. You could beat him with foot speed to the front of the net. There's been all kinds of issues at times, with Stanley's play in his own zone. There's no doubt. All right, Peyton Clark, great job on your first appearance here on the Ice Guys. DJ, great job as well on this Friday edition. We'll wrap things up with best bets in just a second. Before we do that, we want to remind you, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. With your shot to win big, new customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. That's right, a bump in the win column for your team means free bets for you. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, You still have a shot to light the lamp. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team. Get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, best bets to wrap up this Friday edition of the Ice Guys. Peyton, you're the first-time guest on the show, so we'll start with you here for best bet. What do you like tonight for your Friday best bet?
Oh, put me on the spot here. Friday best bet. I'm going to have to go with I'll say Florida. I'll go with Florida.
Florida puck line?
Straight up, yep.
All right, Florida puck line for Peyton with his best bet here, laying the price. It is Buffalo on a back-to-back. That does. I know you're concerned, DJ, with Buffalo in this spot, like in Florida here on the puck line here. Florida minus the 160 for the Florida Panthers puck line for Peyton Clark. First best bet here on the Ice Guys. All right, DJ, best bet. What do you like?
I'm the prop guy at this point, so I'm going to stick with props, and I am going to go with Mackenzie Weegar over a half a point. So minus 125. It doesn't make much sense. Top power play, all the offense. I think that they're going to score 4 or 5. So why can't he just get me an assist? You can take his assist. It's like plus 125, but I don't know. He's shooting more than anyone else on the team. So I wouldn't jeopardize yourself there. I also don't like the defenseman to score. So just take the point. Make it easy.
There you go, Mackenzie Weegar. Boy, that if I had a player prop best bet tonight, I think that would probably be it. I was shocked to see minus 135 Mackenzie Weegar to get a point for Florida here tonight. Again, taking up the point production, the minutes, the power play time, yada yada that Aaron Ekblad did for Florida. So Weegar over to collect a point for DJ with his best bet. My best bet's going to be Minnesota St. Louis over 6. Minus 120. I like that quite a bit. It's been an overtrending series history. The Wild penalty kill struggling. The Blues power play is in good form right now. I think you'll see both teams find some offense in that game. We'll go Wild, Blues, over 6, minus 120 for my best bet for this Friday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to DJ Mitchell, Peyton Clark for joining us as guests today. 136 live viewers. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast if you can't watch the show live. The Latvian Warrior, Vito, will be joining me tomorrow and Sunday like he always does here on the Ice Guys. Rinas Vitalin's joining us from Latvia on the Ice Guys show this weekend. So looking forward to having Vito back with me for Saturday and Sunday. For DJ Mitchell, Peyton Clark, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.